Hi, I'm Cristy C. Road. I'm a visual artist and writer and musician. Also, I grew up around punk rock music, and that was where like my art and aesthetic and politics came from. But I grew up in Miami, where there was a huge hip hop community, and I always loved hip hop music. And even though like punk was my oh, this is my home, hip hop felt like this is my global community. Like it was the more like accessible underground art that had like a political voice and had like a lot of shit to say and a lot of important stuff to say. And in Miami, the punk scene and the hip hop scene were really integrated. There was a lot of like punk rap bands and like ska hip hop hybrids and a lot of like salsa hip hop hybrid. And you know it's like I always looked for something just like a musical community that had like a radical agenda. And as a queer person, I really needed something that was super gay. And even though my first introduction to like a gay alternative community was through punk, I grew to find all these really amazing queer hip hop groups, like, or scenes or whatever. And in 2003, someone introduced me to Las Crudas, and they're from Cuba, and they're queer and amazing. And I I had like a 5 or 6 song EP that it was all I listened to for like a good chunk of time. And I always followed them. I always followed Jean Grey and but it's like even a lot of the shit that got really mainstream became like a political voice for me, like Biggie. I live in Bed-Stuy now, and the foundation of like our community as like a radical neighborhood in Brooklyn has a lot to do with the art that was being made, by artists like that, by Lil Kim, by people from Bed-Stuy who like really changed shit for music, even if they weren't queer and they weren't Lil Kim, she runs a lot of, she doesn't know this, but she runs a lot of amazing queer feminist circles. Like we need her. So yeah, I always just saw it as even though it wasn't the music, it's not the music that I make, and it's not the music that I came from. It's this community that I've always felt this is my sister community. This is where I want to be. This is where I'm gonna automatically feel safe, like a radical queer hip hop community. And the term radical, I don't even need to throw it in, because that's another reason why I always believe that hip hop is this really important part of music, is because it's inherently radical. And there's so much anger that even filtered into mainstream shit. Like when gangsta rap was a thing in the 90s, it was oh, this is something I can look to when I'm angry, or when I need support that I'm not getting from my community at hand, or my family, or so yeah, it's being a Miami kid, it's always just in you, and how we talk, and even in how we write punk music, because it's I'm sorry, there's so right now I think, I don't know, the newest thing that I've gotten really into is Nicki Minaj, and it's corny because I'm I'm fucking watching television all the time. But her lyrics are this is what I want to write and even though it's gonna be in a punk song, this is these are amazing lyrics, and this is the foundation of stuff, a mixture of beautiful poetry and cuss words and fucking anger, and it's real.